Good people, good people, good people. Welcome to another edition of Commanders Wrap, where you get all your relevant Commanders news in 15 minutes. I'm your host, Dr. Wonderful, Doctor of Writing, Professor of English, and avid Commanders fan. I'm joined here by my co host, Kevin Bayne, and we air on Sundays at 9 a.m. Eastern on YouTube, and we replay at 10 a.m. on Spotify, Amazon Music, and Audible. How you doing today, Kevin?
I'm doing good. How about yourself?
I'm doing good. I can't complain. I mean, we had some OTAs and we got some mini camp going on, so it's fun time in Commander's Land.
Yes.
So then that's what we're gonna actually get started with in our first segment. We've been away for 2 weeks, and in that 2 weeks, the final OTA session and mandatory minicamp occurred. Storylines out of the last week of OTAs were Terry McLaurin's holdout and narratives around Marshawn Lattimore and Jeremy Tunsil's absence. Not all of the narratives were good either. Mandatory minicamp showed some rookie pops, standout vet performances, and of course, the injury to Noah Brown. Kevin, in this first segment, let's cover the McLaurin, Lattimore, and Tunsil storylines. What are your thoughts on each of these guys who've been in the local news for differing reasons?
Yeah. So I'll kind of group them together here. Neither were at the voluntary OTAs, which kind of expected, in my opinion, given their track record. I've said this before. I don't think either of them missing OTAs has an effect on how they're going to prepare. They're veteran players and how they're going to play. With Lattimore, I think it's actually a smart move for him not to attend the OTAs, seeing that he had a serious injury and he only played 5 games with us, including the last 3 being playoff games. And I had heard even with the last couple of playoff games, he wasn't at 100% health wise. I think it's just maybe a smart move for him not to rush anything. As I mentioned also a couple of weeks back, guys like Terry, Tunsil, Lattimore, they are veterans. They know how to prepare. There's plenty of time for that. And my understanding is both Tunsil and Lattimore are attending mandatory minicamp. Um, with Lattimore and Tunsil, uh,
Right.
I don't see it being any issue them missing OTAs. They're now here at mandatory minicamp, and yeah, I think everything will be just fine with it.
I agree with you. I mean, the Terry Kate the Terry story, right,
Yeah.
is and the Lattimore and Tunzel story are actually non-stories. They're
Yes.
OTAs. That's what
Yep.
everyone has to. It will look bad if some people don't show up, like
Yeah.
the rookies.
Right. Right.
Right. It
Right.
will look bad
Yes.
if some people don't show up. It's not going to look that way for a lot of people. Like I said, Terry's played this game before.
Yep. Yep.
And so there we go there. But with Laramie and Lattimore, I mean, they never show up to this stuff.
Right. Right.
It's voluntary for a reason. They never show up to this
Yep.
stuff. I also think that there was some broader narrative saying maybe Lattimore didn't like the team, maybe he had a contract issue, all fluff. And
Yep.
unfortunate that the stories kind of went that way. But what are you gonna do?
Right. Exactly. And with Terry, he did not show up for the mandatory mini camp, and yeah, he's probably holding out until he gets a new deal. He's going to take a fine for that each day that is missed, but I'm still not hitting the panic button. As much as you'd love to see the guy get signed before mini mandatory camp happens, it doesn't always work like that. Like you said, you have some people throwing out crazy narratives like, what are we waiting on? Is Terry going to be traded? And the reality is, I don't think some fans realize how much really goes into an NFL contract. One contract, especially with a large financial number, that has an effect on the entire roster, and not just for this season, but possibly several seasons down the road. Uh, and as you just mentioned too, I think it's also important to throw out there that or reiterate that he missed some of the mandatory minicamp in 2022, and it was for the same exact reason, him getting a new deal. So again, be patient. I think a new deal is going to happen, and everything will be okay.
Yeah, I'd only be concerned if Terry actually came out on social media himself and said something, because
Yeah.
that's unlike him.
Right. Yeah.
Right? He's a
Yep.
quiet dude. He
Yep.
doesn't handle his business in public, and that's very unlike him. But also, as they say, there's an old rule in the NFL. We used to be a very leaky organization, but there's an
Yeah.
old rule.
Yeah.
You don't have to do it until you do it, right? Like they really need Terry McLaurin to be signed the day before training camp. So I'm circling the day before training camp is the day that I would like to see Terry be signed, because they don't have to do it until then. It would be great if they do it before then. We all
Right.
want that, but they don't have
Yep.
to do it until then. The
Exactly.
same thing with the Noah Brown injury, right? Which we'll get into a little bit. They don't have to tell us until they have to tell us.
Yep.
And honestly, us not knowing would be good, right? Because the only way we would know at this time is if it was substantial enough that it was ending,
Yep.
right? Like,
Yep.
so no news right now on Noah Brown could mean good news, but they could also come at the beginning of training camp and say, hey, he's not going to be here in season. But we do certainly wish the best for him, and no one should like jump the gun on any of these storylines. It's too soon.
Right. Right.
It's too soon. But
Yep.
let's roll into our next segment, Kevin. We talked about all of those kind of weird negative storylines that don't have anything to do with actual football. Let's talk about the actual football that went down at mandatory minicamp. So, who are some of the rookies that popped? And some of the vets that showed for you, Kevin, was Bill Merritt, Troy Amos, Debo Samuel. Who are some of the people that came out of OTAs and minicamp having strengthened their position right now?
Yeah, actually, the two guys that you just named, actually, Krosky Merritt, I heard was doing a dang thing. I heard that he's got good vision. Again, I know he's not. We have several running backs on the roster, and I think we've touched on this a little bit beforehand about who might get cut, who might get sent to the practice squad, because we do have several. Um, but it's looking like this kid might get an opportunity here this year. You don't always see that from a seventh round pick, but I just keep hearing great things about him. It's hard for me to imagine at this point in time, after everything that I've been hearing, that they'll cut him or even send him to the practice squad. I have a feeling he might end up making the roster, and you might see either McNichols or Rodriguez either go, or one of them hit the practice squad. With that being said, too, it looks like Debo Samuel. He's been doing it too. Said he's been a great leader out on the field. He looks like he's giving it 100%. And I'm love to hear those kinds of things. I was a little optimistic when we first got him, but I tell you what, with the injury with Noah Brown, that does hurt a little bit. And so to have a guy like Debo Samuel out there, that very well could be a difference maker for us.
Right. I agree with you completely on those assessments. Hey, even we were constantly hearing Luke McCaffrey, right? His
Yeah.
name
Yes. Yes.
coming up. So
Yep.
that's really good. I will say this, John Kime mentioned on one of his recent shows, all of this is really good, but you make the team in August, right?
Yeah.
So this all sounds. There are always people who pop right at OTAs and
Yep.
minicamp, and then you never hear about them again ever.
Yeah.
Once training camp comes around. It happens every single season. So I'm very happy for Bill Krosky Merritt.
Yeah.
I want him to do well. I think, hey, if you can do it here at special teams, that's great. But I
Yeah.
will also say this: I'm a fan of running backs. I love a seventh round running back as much as I love a first round running back. I might have different expectations of them, but
Mm-hmm.
to me, running backs are some of the most versatile skill set people that you can have. You can do so
Yeah.
much. You have so
Yeah.
many different types, right? That's why you can pick them all across the board, right? So his for running backs, their draft position to me, they always come out rating higher for me. Running backs, they can just come out rating higher than their draft picks, their
Right.
draft status, I mean to say. But certainly, we're happy about the good news, right? That's coming out of Command on offense and defense, right? Sounds like defense is buzzing and offensive line, offense is chirping. I love it, right?
Yep.
summertime football where everyone's happy. And that's going to actually end our segment for you all. Like I said, we like to keep it to 15 minutes. But a bit of a programming note, we are going to be back with you all in 2 weeks. And then after that, we're probably going to take about a 4 week break to get ready for training camp because once training camp gets here, Commander's Wrap is going to be with you every single week till the end of the season, which of course we hope ends in a Super Bowl, right? But in 2 weeks, we're going to be talking. Hopefully, maybe we got some updates on the Terry McLaurin contract situation, maybe not. But we're also going to talk some business, the business side of football, as the DC Council appears to be putting up some, as this Commander fans calls it, some unnecessary political roadblocks to the Commander's return to the RFK site. Is something afoot in DC? All that and more on the next episode of Commander's Wrap. Until then, I'm Dr. Wonderful, Doctor of Writing, Professor of English, and avid Commanders fan, joined here again by Kevin Bayne. And this has been your weekly edition of Commander's Wrap, where you get all your relevant Commanders news in 15 minutes.